Originally, this ballroom was supposed to cost $200 million. Then it went up to $250. Yesterday, I heard it's now up to $300 million. And the president's answer to his critics is it's private money. The people paying for this ballroom will now have automatic access to the president. And he will want to listen to the things they want because they have spent obscene amounts of money. This has gone through no such process because this president is convinced that no rules apply to him. The reason is it is unnecessary and insane, especially in an environment where federal employees are not working and not being paid. What it's going to be replaced by is going to be a ridiculous, nonsensical exercise in one man's ego. Hello, and welcome one and all to the Brick City Brown Chick YouTube show. I am your host, the aforementioned Chick. For those who ask, Brick City is Newark, New Jersey, my beloved hometown, where I was born and raised. And the Brown Chick, well, hopefully that part is obvious. On this show, we talk everything. We talk politics, we talk race, we talk music, which is my personal favorite, fashion, trends, whatever is on my mind that particular week, that is what we'll be talking about. So whether you found this page on recommendation or if you're an OG and you've been here for a while, I welcome one and all to my world, the world of the Brick City Brown Chick. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Brick City Brown Chick show. And this week, our episode is entitled White House Down. We will be talking about the destruction of the East Wing of the White House, which most of us have seen horrible pictures of by now, by the current occupant of the White House, the President of the United States. Now, a little history about the White House. It is where the president who is in office and his family live. It is not owned by that president. The White House is referred to as the People's House because it belongs to the people of the United States. This president has decided that he needs a ballroom, or that the White House needs a ballroom. They released pictures earlier this week of what this gold-plated monstrosity is going to look like. And this is really disturbing for a couple of reasons. Number one, the American people were told when this process started that there would be no outward destruction or interruption of the integrity of the White House while this went on. If you've seen the pictures over the last couple of days, you know that was a lie. Am I surprised it was a lie? No. This president lies as easily as he breathes. Every single thing that comes out of his mouth is later shown to be a lie. So the East Wing of the White House is usually where the First Lady has her office and her staff. The wife of the current president doesn't give a rat's ass, clearly. She's hardly ever there. So she doesn't seem to have been bothered by being thrown out of her office and her space while they, let me repeat this, demolish the east wing of the White House to put in a gaudy, tacky ballroom. Now understand, no matter what the president says, this ballroom is not going to be done for approximately 3 years. This president is only going to be in office, despite what he seems to think, for 3.5 years. So all this destruction and all this craziness and all this outright madness is for him to be able to show off to the world and his friends for maybe 6 months when it's done. I think this is going to be a situation where whoever the next president is going to look at this 90,000 square foot monstrosity and say, we don't need this, tear it down and reconstruct the East Wing. All of this, of course, is going to cost obscene amounts of money. Originally, this ballroom was supposed to cost $200 million. Then it went up to $250. Yesterday, I heard it's now up to $300 million. And the president's answer to his critics is, it's private money. It's not taxpayer money. We're using private money. Okay, if that's true, and I have my suspicions that not all of it will be not taxpayer money, if you believe that, and if that's true, let's understand a couple of key things. The people paying for this ballroom will now have automatic access to the president. And he will want to listen to the things they want because they have spent obscene amounts of money to build a private ballroom on public property. Just think about that for a minute. What will be the expectations of these people once they have paid for this shiny, tacky, gaudy, gold-plated ballroom? And if you haven't seen the sketches and the renders of what this is going to look like, all you have to do is go to Google and Google Mar-a-Lago Ballroom, because that is what this is based on. It is based on the ballroom at the president's private golf course in Florida. It is hideous, it is tacky, and it is obscenely expensive. When the White House has state dinners, they have them in the largest dining room in the White House, which holds about 100 people, give or take. This ballroom is being designed to hold 650 people. Now let's unpack that for a minute. Anyone who is invited to the White House for whatever reason, be they diplomat or Hollywood star or sports figure, whoever they are, have to be vetted by the Secret Service. And when you are vetted by the Secret Service, this is not a simple background check. This is not an easy, where did you work and give me your address for the last 10 years. They dig into every aspect of your life. Why? Because you are about to have a meeting or a dinner or whatever with the leader of the free world. And they don't want just anybody being able to waltz into the White House. So if you were having a normal state dinner, all those 100 people who were invited would need to be vetted by the Secret Service. The Secret Service needs to be on their game for that function. Make sure nobody's taking in anything illegal, no guns, no knives. All the things that the Secret Service normally has to do is ramped up tenfold when you start talking about state dinners. So let's now multiply that 6.5 times. We're now talking about 650 people who will be attending a dinner party at the White House that the Secret Service is going to have to vet and make sure they don't have skeletons in their closet and make sure they don't bring things that are untoward to the dinner, to the party. This is going to be absolute insanity. If you've never been to Washington, D.C., it's hard to get a frame of reference for where the White House is, but it is in a sort of narrower part of town, and it's already difficult to get to the White House because they've closed off several streets around it, and it's sort of pedestrian traffic only. So this is going to make that process exponentially harder. And so this is a bad idea on numerous levels. But because we've now reached the point in America where everybody wants to act like, well, the president can do whatever he wants because he's the president, there is no stopping this. A few Democratic congressmen have sent a letter to the White House asking for an explanation of the private donors who are going to pay for this ballroom, allegedly. How this process has worked in the past, because the right wing is real quick to yell and scream that previous presidents have made updates to the White House, which is true, but that had to go through a congressional panel. There were people who vetted the changes that the president wanted to make to the White House and approved them. This has gone through no such process because this president is convinced that no rules apply to him. So he took up his private collection for this ballroom, began knocking down the east wing of the White House, and is all jazzed and excited about this ballroom. So just understand that the people who are paying for it are going to want something in return, and we'll find out what that is later. And also understand that a future president can come along and undo this and knock it all down and put the east wing of the White House back. So this can be an exercise in frivolity and fertility and insanity. And that's exactly what it is. So when you hear people say, you're just mad because it's this president doing it, that's not the reason. The reason is it is unnecessary and insane, especially in an environment where federal employees are not working and not being paid. Whoever is paying for this ballroom is spending $300 million that could be used to subsidize the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, which is what the Democrats are currently fighting about with the Republicans in terms of reopening the government. The Democrats are saying we are not going to reopen the government until you negotiate these subsidies, which are set to expire at the end of this year. So if you are on insurance through the Affordable Care Act, or as the right likes to call it, Obamacare, your premiums are about to go through the roof. unless this gets worked out in the government. So just understand that. If you didn't know that before, you know it now. The Democrats are saying we are not going to reopen this government until we negotiate about this. The Republicans are saying we will not negotiate with you Democrats about the subsidies until you agree to reopen the government. So this is what's politely called a Texas standoff. Side A says we're not doing this until we talk about it. Side B says do it first and then we'll talk about it. My advice to the Democrats is hold your ground, because 10 months into this administration, the Republican Congress has proven that they will lie down like dogs and roll on their backs for this president. I do not believe a word of what they are saying that they'll negotiate if the Democrats reopen the government. They will not, because their leader doesn't want them to. They have no backbone. They have no principles. They have no morals. They do not care that 10 weeks from now, it'll be Christmas and people are not working and are not being paid. And this president has openly threatened to not give back pay to the federal employees who are currently not working. What he said was, well, people who don't work don't get their paycheck. They are not working, not because they don't want to work, but because the government is shut down. It is disgusting and appalling. So just understand, as you watch the demolition of the East Wing of the White House for a unnecessary, gaudy, tacky ballroom, that millions of federal employees are about to not receive their second paycheck. And they will not be able to pay their bills. And that will trickle down the economy in ways that Republicans refuse to acknowledge. Everyone acts like the federal employees are expendable. They are not. And what's gotten buried in the back pages of the news is many of the cuts that were made by Doge that Elon Musk was all proud of and carrying a chainsaw around. A lot of those people have had to be rehired because they suddenly realized, oh crap, we don't have anybody here who knows how to do that. And we need people who know how to do that. So come on back, employees. It has been an exercise in futility and disaster. So just be clear as you watch part of the White House being destroyed that what it's going to be replaced by is going to be a ridiculous, nonsensical exercise in one man's ego, in one man's need to feel important. And screw the entire country as long as he feels important. I want to thank everybody for joining me this week. If you are not currently subscribed to this podcast, there should be a button directly below me here. Please sign up and come back and join me every week. Take care.